Well, let's talk now to Jeffrey Sachs, who's a renowned US economist and author. Welcome back to the programme, Jeffrey. Good to see you. Do you think this meeting has been a success?
Well, I think it's a stabilizing moment, which is good, because the U.S. has been kind of on a very unconstructive path vis-a-vis China during the first years of the Biden administration, and I think that they're trying to row back a little bit to get to a more stable environment. The basic point is there actually is no deep reason for any kind of conflict between these two countries. But U.S. politics was pushing towards a kind of containment idea, absurd, that the United States would somehow keep its primacy by limiting China's success. This is obviously ridiculous, and maybe there are glimmers of realism coming into the United States leadership, and perhaps yesterday's meeting shows this. Of course, the snide remark by Biden after the meeting about President Xi being a dictator just shows how both inconsequential, silly, and destabilizing United States policy has been.
One of the main headlines out of this meeting is that military communication channels between the two countries have been reopened. How significant is that?
Of course, it helps. We want deconfliction. We want to avoid accidents, mistakes. It's a small step. They wanted to announce something positive, but it's good. Nothing to complain about. The fact of the matter is there is no fundamental reason for these tensions. These tensions are a concoction of both U.S. domestic politics, that somehow bashing China is good for electoral politics, and a concoction of U.S. misguided strategists who view the world as a zero-sum game, so that China's progress is somehow America's loss. And that mistake has engendered much of the tension. So all talk is good. The meeting is helpful. It should be followed up, just as the Chinese government has said, with regular dialogue, regular discussion, and seeking cooperation on areas of mutual interest. Peace in the Middle East, accelerated progress on decarbonizing the world's energy system, promoting the end of poverty in low-income Africa, and so forth. These are areas where there's an obvious mutuality of interest of China and the United States, and we can cooperate on all of those.
And as well as a meeting, President Biden, President Xi met business leaders in the US. What kind of signal does that send about business and trade relations between the US and China? When
President Xi got a standing ovation from the U.S. business leaders, it says that the U.S. business leaders are not party to all of this tension which has been created by politicians, not by the business community. And this is very important. People should understand this is not policy in the U.S. driven by commercial interests. Commercial interests are for open economic relations between China and the United States. And the business leaders showed that. They gave President Xi an extremely warm welcome. They gave him a standing ovation. And they want to do business in China. As President Xi said, China is a huge market and a place where you can make a lot of money. And that's what the business leaders want to do. So I think we had a good demonstration that these tensions are not driven by fundamentals. They're not driven by commercial pressures from the business community. They're not driven by protectionism in the business community. They're driven by domestic politics and by a misguided strategic idea of the U.S., which is what the U.S. calls primacy, or is sometimes called hegemony, that the United States should be number one. Well, it's a silly idea. The United States should be cooperative, it should be secure, and it should be working for global peace together with other major powers like China.
Jeffrey, thank you for sharing your views today. That's the economist and author Jeffrey Sachs.